Complete Control Radio with Joe Sib.
Complete Control Radio, Joe Sib here hanging out with you. My guest and good friend and one of the best men in my wedding, Chris Shiflett. How are you?
I'm good. I'm great. Just getting ready to go to work.
Man.
Get busy.
You're a busy guy. For the people that are listening to the show, Chris Shiflett, he's played in No Use for a Name. He was the original guitar player in 22 Jacks, my band. He moved from that to a little band that you might know called the Foo Fighters.
Well, let's not forget Me First and the Gimme Gimmes, buddy.
Okay. Well,
Come on.
Me First and the Gimme Gimmes is like a punk rock superstar group.
A punk rock institution.
A punk rock institution. Speaking of Me First and the Gimme Gimmes, are you still doing dates with them in between everything else you do?
You know, I actually just went to Japan with them for a couple days because my brother has been, like, he sort of tours with them. You know, when we make records, it's always the same 5 guys, but with, you know, when they tour, I'm usually on tour with Foo Fighters. So my brother usually goes out and do that, but he couldn't make the first couple of dates because he's got face-to-face stuff going on again. So I went and sort of filled in for my brother, who fills in for me in Japan. And actually, after the first show, Kent, Kent,
Tour
of course.
manager.
Yeah, tour manager, sound man extraordinaire.
And for everyone else out there, tour manager for NoFX, recently on the Fuse television show.
He's a celebrity.
He's a
that's
celebrity
right. He's
now.
a personality.
He's a personality
TV
now.
personality.
I mean, the amount of alcohol that he consumed and drugs in that NoFX documentary special, call it what you will. I was really surprised he made it home.
I think that experience might have scared him straight.
Oh, really? Is he
Yeah.
sober now?
I don't know. Last time I saw him, when I was in Japan, he wasn't drinking. It was like right after they had kind of wrapped that stuff up, and he was like, in that like, I just saw myself on camera. I got to get my life together.
After I watched that,
Yeah.
and I've never even taken drugs or partaked in any of that. After I saw that, I felt high from it. I mean, some of the drugs that they
I think
did
I'm still high from it.
from watching that.
Well, so Kent came back after we played the first show,
Yeah.
and I hadn't played a Gimme's gig in for real years. And he was like, "Yeah, it's kind of better with your brother." Just like, "Thanks, buddy."
just threw that out there.
Yeah, it's kind of because it was also Mike's first show back because he hadn't done the last couple tours, and so we were like the ones blowing it, and the other guys had it together.
The best thing that I love about Fat Mike is that honesty.
Oh yeah. No, he pulls no punches, Fat.
I remember when we were starting Side One Dummy Records, I called up to Fat Records, and we didn't have any distribution in Europe, and I asked Fat Mike, hey, I got this great idea. You could put out our records, and we could put like the Fat logo on the back, and then we could get our foot in the door. He says, no, I don't want to do that. I go, how do we get distribution in Europe? Go there. That's what he said.
Dude, I called him to put out this record you're holding in your hands that eventually came out on acetate, and he said, he called me back and just said, no, it's not for me.
Yeah.
Which is it's... On one hand, it can be tough dealing with Mike because of his honesty,
But
but on the other hand, you know exactly where you stand with him.
Absolutely.
There's never, he's a pretty no bullshit kind of guy. Oops.
Well, hey,
I
it's
hope
all
you
right.
beeped that.
We caught that.
Yeah.
Hey, let's talk about Jackson United.
Let's do it.
All right. Jackson United, this is your guys' second full length.
Second full length. We haven't put out a record for a while. We actually recorded this before we made the new Foo Fighter record, and I thought that, that we would be sort of on a break for a little while, kind of like we're doing now. But it didn't work out that way. I recorded this album, and like the next month, we started making the new Foo Fighter record. So I kind of thought I would have put this out like a year ago, but I've just been kind of sitting on it because I've just been busy, for the last year.
Came out at the beginning of September.
Came out at the beginning of September.
Did
We're going out on tour.
You're getting ready to go on tour now.
Yeah, we've done a couple of shows here and there. We went down to Australia a few months ago, and we've really just been kind of rehearsing. We got a new bass player because my brother's busy again with Face to Face. So my little cousin Charlie's coming in. He's going to play bass for us, and we're just about to start touring through the end of the year.
You know what's funny, and for the people that are listening, my guest, Chris Shiflett, he's in here. We're talking about Jackson United, and I can say this about Chris. He would never say this about himself. An amazing guitar player. The thing I love about playing with you is that you can just change your style to whatever the song's, in the direction it's going. Little do people know, your whole family is that way. You got Scott Shiflett on bass, and then your other brother, Mike.
Yeah, my oldest brother, Mike, is by far the most talented of any of us, and he's a guitar teacher. So he knows his. So
growing up in the Shiflett household, I mean, when you guys were kids, mom and dad split. Are the three of you guys just setting up and jamming?
That's the funny thing. You would think that that's what it would have been, but it was exactly the opposite. Because by the time I was in high school and really was like playing in bands, we all had developed our own sort of sense of self, and like we each had our own little niche of what we were into.
Give me the breakdown. Give me the breakdown of what's going on in the Shiflett household when you're. Well,
I like
15.
to say my brother Mike is like the ultimate loyal consumer. My brother Mike is the guy that was buying Black Sabbath records in the late 80s when they didn't have Ozzy or anybody but Tony Iommi, the records you've never even seen or heard of, and he would still find something positive. Like
the way I am with
that guy.
The way I was with the Ramones. To
Absolutely.
The end. Adios amigos. I have to find a track.
Yeah, that thing where you can't admit that you don't actually like it.
No.
He's that guy. So he was like, Mike was like Sabbath and Deep Purple and Uriah Heep and stuff like that. Which at one time, of course, we all liked. But then, and Scott kind of went off on like a Rush mode for a little while, because Scott, he's like a ripping bass player. So like he was Geddy Lee guy, for a little while. And I was into like sort of the goofy heavy metal stuff of that era, really like I would come down to LA and see bands like Armored Saint and Malice. And, that sort of moved into like Jet Boy and LA Guns and going all that stuff. So
Hannah Rocks?
Hannah Rocks was it for me. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited. I actually just got an email. This is like the greatest thing in the world, man. I just got an email from Hanoi Rocks' manager. They're like writing a book about Hanoi Rocks and asked me to contribute a little story about it.
Oh, my God.
So,
that's the best.
Yeah, that's like dream come true
I know,
stuff. But anyway, so it's all, my point being that they're all sort of competing genres of rock music, so there wasn't a lot of overlap. We weren't like sitting around a campfire jamming tunes, but I think just by osmosis, you just kind of pick that
The
stuff
talent,
up.
though, in the Shiflett brothers, it's amazing.
We're an amazing family.
Hey,
and now my little cousin, dude, he's like
Charlie's
the best
playing
out of
bass
anybody.
now with you guys.
Yeah, he's sick. 18 years old, never been in a band, never been on tour. We're leaving for tour next week.
Never been with a woman.
Never been with a woman. We're gonna remedy all that. Next week
man.
he becomes a man.
It'll be great. He'll go on the road. He'll come back with tattoos,
Yeah.
a drug problem, and some sort of sexual
Venereal disease.
There you go.
Of some description. I hope my aunt is not listening. Joe's just kidding. None of that's going to happen. I'm going to watch over him. Like,
if your aunt is listening, right now we're going to play a little Jackson United. This is off their brand new record. You got to say the title because I know I'll mess up the second word.
It's Harmony and Dissidence, out now on Acetate Records. This song's called Undertow.
All right, this is Complete Control Radio. Chris Shiflett is my guest tonight on Complete Control. Turn it up loud. This is Jackson United.